Hey everybody, Shad with Nobody Else's Auto, 7 o'clock Central Time, Sunday evening, time for Sunday Night Live Chat. We'll give everybody a few seconds to get their notifications and get rolling. We've got a few of us on already on YouTube, Facebook, just connected. So we'll see how well it's going to cooperate with us tonight. But I appreciate you guys being on YouTube, being ready to go. That's always great seeing some of you actually on there and waiting and ready. Nick's on with us already. Glad you made it tonight, Nick. Got a few people jumping on with Facebook, so we'll give everybody a few more seconds to get with us. Facebook, for the problems we've been having, it's been taking a little bit longer to get people on, but we're getting there. We're getting ready to roll. So some of us are jumping on, and we can get going here just shortly. Kevin's on with us. Gasser 61's on. Billy from Texas is on. Glenn from Minnesota's on. A lot of our regulars back with us. Thanks for swinging back by, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming by, hanging out. And, that's what makes this thing tick. As always, if we get any trolls on here, especially on YouTube, I really appreciate you guys jumping on them and running them out of here. We know they're not welcome. Obviously they want me to acknowledge them, so I don't want to do that. So, your guys' help to get rid of them and run them out of our chat is the best way to do it. It would be such a commitment to ask somebody to be a moderator on this deal and sit there and watch it all for what it takes to do this deal. So appreciate your guys' help and keeping an eye on that. Lee from New York's on. Jerry from Mexico is on. So New York to New Mexico. we got them spread all over. But anyway, if you're on Facebook, please throw a share out there. Let your friends know we're on and we're ready to roll. Matt's on with us on Facebook. Kevin's on here on Facebook as well. Super appreciate you guys jumping on with us. And let's go ahead and get rolling. Brent's on Facebook. Looks like we've even got comments working on both formats. And New Zealand is on with us. Gasser is in New Zealand. So we're covering all the way around the globe, hopefully, tonight. So we'll go ahead and get started. I had a very interesting weekend. We're going to get into that here shortly, too. Did some cool stuff. But first off, a lot of you have seen Nick on here with us. Joe's on. Nick's on with us on YouTube tonight. If some of you guys remember here last spring, I pulled a light blue 79 Camaro out of a garage where it had been parked for almost 20 years. Old School's on. Glad Old School made it tonight. But we found this Camaro buried in a garage, actually here in Great Bend, just on the outskirts of town. They backed this thing in the garage in the last tag on it was 03, so almost 20 years ago. Jess and Rico are here. Big Job's here. Let's see. Okay, good. We got Glenn over there. Good. Okay, everything's popping up. William's on with us. Number one's on with us. That's right. We did get a bunch of rain. It did give everything a good bath. Real quick, we did talk about doing a live this morning. It rained all morning here and quite a bit. I went out to the yard this afternoon. There was water sitting everywhere. So we will try to reschedule the live as soon as possible, maybe next weekend. I don't know if next weekend is going to be good with everybody being Labor Day or not. So think about that. We will discuss that a little bit later in the chat if everybody thinks we need to try to do one on Labor Day. So roll that around in your head, and we'll bring that up a little bit later. Randy's on. Okay, looks like we're getting caught up. Old School. I do not have fiber yet. They cranked up my speed. They more than tripled my speed. But they did not. So I think that's what's helping us on these feeds, but I do not have fiber yet. So, but anyway, back to the Camaro. If you remember when I pulled that out, we did a video of it where it was buried in the garage. Did a video of it coming out. Kind of a neat deal. Dan from Defiance made it. Joe's on Facebook. Glad you guys are all here. But we kind of had to almost excavate this car. After they backed it in, there was stuff stacked in it, around it, on it, front of it, everywhere. I mean, you could barely even see the car because it was so buried in this garage. And it was only one car deep, and the garage was only one car length deep, and you could barely see the car. So that's how deep the thing was. Number one, it must be easier to do a walk around when not bundled up for winter and the cars aren't snowed in. That's definitely true, as long as the phones don't overheat on us, which we run into. Gail from Des Moines on. So we found this Camaro, neat deal, untouched car. It had had one repaint, but it was really just a basic Camaro, and that was what was kind of cool about it. Nobody ever made it something it wasn't. Nobody ever hot rodded it. Nobody ever modified it. Car never even had a factory. It never even had a rear spoiler on it, and nobody put one on it. 305 V8 automatic, just kind of a clean old car, been stored in there for years. And we got it out. Hot Rod Magazine picked up on it. They actually ran an article on it on hotrod.com. So kind of a neat deal. That's right, Kevin. It was kind of a buried treasure. 67 Tempest from Iowa's on with us. Glad you made it. So this thing out, we get it pulled back to the yard and get it kind of hosed off. And really, there was a few rust bubbles coming through the quarters, but overall, underneath this thing was clean and solid, pretty much intact. The console was gone, but that was about it. If you guys don't remember, you might want to go back and catch those videos on it and take a look at that car because it was a neat car. Now, the other side of this story is what makes what I do fun. Obviously I get to mess with cars all the time, but the rest of the story, so to speak, as Paul Harvey would say, is what makes my job fun. Unbeknownst to me, when I found this car, when I pulled this car out, when I brought it in, we did the videos on it. Hot Rod picked it up, ran it. Unbeknownst to me, our new friend Nick back east had picked up on us at during Rocky Mountain Race Week. Nick's a fan of Rocky Mountain Race Week. A year ago on Race Week, when we did the stop at the yard, we had the open house for all the race weekers. Nick picks up on us and sees what we've got. Well, he starts following us on YouTube and Facebook and keeping up with our stuff. Well, obviously, I didn't know Nick at the time, and I didn't know that Nick used to have a 79 Camaro. And kind of a real quick story, and I talked to Nick about this, and he said he was cool with me sharing it. But this is what makes what I do so much fun. Nick, after high school, he joined the service. He went out and he signed on to defend this great country, to allow all of us to do what we do. However, Nick went into the service, obviously moved away from home, and left his beloved Camaro back home with his mom. He's in the service. God knows where, who knows where they had him sent. The car was kind of a burden on his mom. He had to help his mom out. The car, they ended up having to sell the car while he was, out in the service, couldn't deal with it, didn't have time to deal with it. Obviously, Nick was in the Navy, and the Navy doesn't care if you need to get home and take care of your 79 Camaro. So unfortunately, Nick just chimed in. He was in the Navy under the ocean. So dealing with a 79 Camaro while he was under the ocean would be a little bit tricky. But there again, he was out under the ocean, doing what he had to do to allow us to do what we do. So Chris is on with us. Glad you made it, Chris. So I didn't know Nick, and I didn't know he was following me, and I didn't know he had a 79 Camaro that he had to get rid of while he was in the service. However, after he saw that 79 Camaro pop up, he gave me a shout. We had a discussion. We talked about it, and we ended up getting a deal put together, and Nick got his second 1979 Camaro yesterday morning. The car's sitting in his garage right now. Obviously, after Nick got out of the service, life happened, started a family. He's got a couple kids now, but the thought of the 79 Camaro had never left him. Well, now he's got another 79 Camaro sitting in his garage that him and his boys can work on, fix up, do what they want with it. And that's what makes what I do fun. Because I've never met Nick in person, but he's a great guy. He's a proud Navy vet, obviously worked in subs. He went out there and he sacrificed. He ended up having to get rid of his Camaro because of his time in the service. But when I find something like that to help bring that story full circle, especially with his kids now and him wanting to bring them into the hobby and wanting to have another 79 Camaro, that's what makes what I do fun. So, yep, Nick said it was subs. So that's what's so awesome about it. That's what is so great about what I do. That's what makes what I do fun. And obviously, I have to make a profit on what I do. I've got a lot of overhead in trying to keep all this stuff put together, but I still made a little money on the car. We were able to come to a price that Nick was happy with. And I'm super, super happy that car is sitting right now in Nick's garage, for him and his kids to start working with, because there again, we're progressing this hobby further. All of us working together, bringing our kids into it, any kids that show interest into it, and moving the hobby on down the road. So that's what's exciting about it. And that, Nick says he'd do it again in a heartbeat. That's great. So we definitely want to thank Nick for his service. Super proud to now know him, super proud of his service, and super proud that I was able to be part of that story to bring his 79 Camaro story full circle. So now that him and his boys have another one in the garage, ready to start tinkering with, that he's going to take his kids out for ice cream in. So that's what's so awesome. So wanted to share that with everybody, and I'm glad that Nick let me share his story with everybody. Some comments popping up. Let's see. And Nick says he almost had to buy a pickup too, but he didn't have enough room. But let's see. Good question. Number one, does Navy Nick have a YouTube channel? That I don't know. I don't know if he has a regular channel or not, but maybe he should start putting one together to keep us updated on the Camaro. So like I said, yeah, and that's right. Another thing Kevin brought up, it has been a tough week for our troops, and we do want to keep all of them in our thoughts and our prayers because of that. It has been a rough week for a lot of those guys. But for me to be able to be a little piece of that story and help complete these circles, I mean, this is something that we're in this hobby. It is completely a passion-based hobby. You know, what we do with old cars and old trucks and memorabilia is not anything that we have to do to survive. It is a passion-based business. It is a passion-based hobby. And this is what these memories that we think back, the times that we had, the times that we enjoyed, and these cars and trucks are a piece of every one of ours history. Whether it's something we remember from a kid, whether it's something that we fell in love with as an adult, whether it was something a sibling had, an uncle had, a parent had, you know, all these ties is what goes back to it. So for me, that's the fun part about it. That's what excites me, and really makes what I do enjoyable. Yeah, it's cool. I get a place to mess around with cars and trucks all the time, but helping put these puzzle pieces back together for some of these guys is so awesome. So thank you, Nick. Appreciate you buying the car. Appreciate you letting me share your story with all of us tonight, because it is a great deal, and super proud of your service, and thank you for all you did. And I'm so excited that you're happy with the Camaro, and I can't wait for you and your boys to start tinkering with it so you can start enjoying it. Let's see. Lance is on in Utah. So number one's Navy Nick. No, Navy Nick's one of the plans for the Camaro. He's got a few more years before he can get another car, but he's getting ready to get with the Camaro. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate the support and letting me share that story. A lot of you guys have chimed in that you enjoyed that, and I'm glad you did, because that's a lot of fun. Don, I don't know where Don's at. I haven't actually even seen Don in a couple of days. I haven't seen him. He must have wandered off and be out running around the neighborhood. I don't know. I haven't seen him for probably a week, which sometimes with some of these shop cats, they do wander off for a while and then they'll show back up. You just never know. Number one, what was Navy Nick's sub called, or is it classified? I don't know. I don't have any of those details. If Nick wants to share any more of that, we will absolutely put it out there. I was just excited about Nick's story, and helping bring those stories full circle is what makes it fun and interesting. So anyway, that's part of my military story for the week. So thank you, Nick. Thanks for everything. Thanks for picking up the Camaro. Thanks for being on here with us. Thanks for being a loyal supporter of the show. And thanks for allowing us to share your story. And I really appreciate it. And thanks for allowing me to be part of your story. But so we'll go ahead and move on. If Nick's got any other comments, if anybody's got any other questions for Nick, go ahead and throw them up there. Nick is currently on YouTube with us. So if you're on Facebook and you've got a question, throw it up there, and we'll go ahead and throw that out there as well. If you've got any specific questions for Nick while we're on. And we'll go ahead and get started on my next topic, which was what I did this weekend, which was also military related, and I was super proud to be part of and super excited that I was asked to be part of it. Our new friend Matt in Wichita put together a car show at the McConnell Air Force Base for the service members down there. And he contacted me and asked me to come down and help judge it, which I was super excited about. Let's see, Joe, 68 international long bed for a pickup. I do not have anything at all on that. Nick was a missile tech on subs on the USS Kentucky. So I don't know about you, but that sounds really important. If you're on a sub and you're messing with the missiles, that sounds pretty important to me. So I assume you probably pretty much had to know what you were doing with that. And obviously that's understandable why Nick didn't have time to run home and deal with a 79 Camaro when you're in a submarine dealing with missiles. So let's see. No, I don't think Don was in the Camaro because the Camaro was out at the yard and Don stays in town at the shops in town. So, no, he did. Nick said he was not in the Camaro. Matt's on with us from McConnell right now. Glad Matt's on with us. And that was my fault. I did put the extra keys for the Camaro in the ashtray, and I forgot to tell Nick. He texted me. I forgot. Wasn't there more keys for this? Like, yeah, they're in the ashtray. That's my fault. Kevin, 54 Ford F100 running boards. I do not have any of those at all right now. Spare tire mount, 62 C10 step side. I think I'm out of those as well. But anyway, we did get to go down to McConnell, and Matt did a great job. I'll totally give him credit for this deal. I don't know for sure when he got transferred out here, but I don't think he's been in Kansas for an extremely long time. Big car guy. And decided wanted to put together a base car show. He contacted me actually in June while we were on Rocky Mountain Race Week, so just a couple of months ago. And putting together a car show on a military base is not exactly the same as going down to the city and reserving a spot in the park and putting flyers out and letting people show up. It's a little more complicated than that. But he did manage to put together a really nice show for no more time than he had to do it. Had a solid turnout of cars and went very well. So was really excited about that. Got to meet a couple of other great guys that he brought in for judges. Tim from Devlin Rod and Custom in Wichita, Kansas. Number one, was it the Camaro Kentucky blue paint? I don't know what the actual technical name of that blue was for that year. 67 Chevelle grill and headlight bezels. Do not have anything at all right now on a 67 Chevelle nose, Marion, so nothing there. Yeah, Matt says he's been there for a year and a half. So he's been in Kansas for a year and a half, and of course half that time was in lockdown on COVID. So putting this deal together in that short amount of time, against the challenges of putting it together on a military base was a pretty big feat, but he did manage to pull it off. And like I said, Tim with Devlin Rod and Custom in Wichita, great guy. Spent a lot of time with him. Be sure to look those guys up. They've got a website. I think they're on Facebook as well. Devlin Rod and Custom in Wichita. They do some really cool builds there. Good guy. Glad I got to hang out with him. And then Rodney from Shift Sector, I believe, which is a really neat concept. He has a storage facility in downtown Wichita for collector cars where guys can rent their slot from him and leave their car there. He's got a wash bay. He's got a 2-post lift where these guys can come in and service their car, wash their car before they take it out. They pay a monthly membership fee. So pretty neat deal. It was really cool meeting those guys and learning a lot about, what they do down in Wichita in the car world as well. But like I said, kudos to Matt. He did a great job for putting this thing together in such a short amount of time. And obviously every single step in the process on a military base has to be checked off, rubber stamped by I don't know how many people. But Matt did manage to pull it off, and it went very well. Kevin, did they give away trophies or ribbons for placing? No, Matt had piston trophies made. So they were pretty cool. Had some pistons and rods welded up for trophies. The Commander's Choice was an engraved wooden plaque, like a laser engraved wooden plaque for the Commander's Choice. So neat deal. Went very well. Very happy to do it. Had a DJ, had music, had a lot of good cars. Good turnout. And like I said, I can't imagine the challenges that Matt went through to put this thing together. Because I know what he had to do to get me on base and what all these other people had to do to get on base. And I know it was a challenge from what I saw. So to put together that solid of a show in that amount of time was very impressive. And appreciate Matt for contacting me and inviting me down. It was really great. So number one was outrageous. It was bracket racing this weekend. I'm very familiar with that. Obviously, he got a second. That's good. Jason, 67 to 72 pickup beds. There again depends on what kind of 67 to 72 we're talking about and which bed you're talking about. So best thing to do is give me a shout tomorrow so we can go over the details on that. And then Matt did take myself and the two other judges around and showed us some of the cool things on the base that they were allowed to take us to. I'm sure there's a lot of places. I don't think there's places on any military base that nobody's allowed on, but they did take us out and showed us some cool stuff and spent a little time with us, which was awesome. It was so cool to learn a little bit about that and what they do there. And just in the little bit of time that we had that they spent with myself and the other two judges after the show to, show us that stuff, spend some time with us, take us around to what they could show us. It was super awesome. And can't thank Matt enough for having me down and for showing us around with what they could. And it was neat. It was a great time and really appreciated it. And like I said, I know what it takes to put a car show together in the city park. I can't imagine what it takes to do it on a military base. So hats off to Matt for doing that, getting his, getting a good turnout on the base. And once again, what these guys are doing for all of us to allow us to enjoy our hobbies, just like we give a huge shout out to Nick, and we need to give a shout out to Matt too. These vets that are out there, obviously Nick has been honorably discharged and is working in the civilian world now. Matt obviously still active duty, and huge shout out to those guys, all of our veterans, all of our military, what they do for us to allow us to do what we love. So thanks, Matt. Thanks, Nick. And I appreciate everything you did for us yesterday, Matt, as well. So John's on with us on Facebook. Let's see. Chopper 1 made it tonight. Great. Number 1. Yeah. Number 1, does anybody think it's kind of magic that Navy Nick found a 79 Camaro in Kentucky blue? Let's see. After he was stationed on the Kentucky in the blue. That's a good point. But if that was actually if that color was Kentucky blue, that would be kind of crazy. I don't have a 79 Chevy Selling album handy. But if I did, I would definitely look that up. So number 1, where's this emoji for saluting vets? That I don't know. Let's see. Matt says, and Matt just threw up for us that it almost got shut down last week. The show at McConnell almost got shut down due to food issues and legal issues. But so like I said, I can't imagine the red tape it takes to put an event together on a military base. But Matt did work. He brought myself and Tim and Rodney in and we all had a great time. And there again, these guys that, are out there putting their lives on the line and dedicating their lives to the service of this country, it's awesome to be able to be part of their events as well. So thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody, for what, they did it yesterday to make that deal happen. It was a great time. It was great to meet Tim, great to meet Rodney, great to work with those two guys on judging cars. And they thoroughly enjoyed it. So that was kind of what my yesterday consisted of. Yes, Matt is on Facebook with us, so that's where I'm reading his comments at. So that was this weekend. What's coming up? I'm not going to this next weekend, but there's a lot of stuff going on in Auburn, Indiana. Obviously, if you've been hanging out with us on here for a while, I'm a fan of Auburn's, a big fan of Cords. Got fairly deeply involved with the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Been helping them with a lot of their digital media, a lot of their Facebook posts I've been doing. Doug Prey, great guy to work with. The Classic Ride Society's on with us. Glad you made it tonight, Classic Ride. And so there's actually the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, from when Doug Prey's dad, Glenn, bought the inventory out of the factory, the names, the trademarks, everything, moved it all to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in 1960. However, the museum is still in Auburn, Indiana, in the original building. And next weekend, actually started yesterday, but it goes throughout the whole week and wraps up next weekend, Labor Day weekend, is they have a big, huge Auburn Duesenberg Festival. So there's a ton of stuff going on in Auburn, Indiana. Chopper One, that's right, Chopper One. God bless all veterans. His pops and his stepbrother are vets, so that's great. Nick's got to head out. He's got to get up super early in the morning and get to work. Thanks for being here tonight, Nick. Thanks for allowing me to share your story, and thanks for your service. Glad you made it on for a little while tonight. Glad we can talk about your car and your story. So Nick's out. He's going to get some sleep. He can get up and get going in the morning. But the Auburn Duesenberg Festival, like I said, they have a huge, big deal. Have not gotten into the Henry J concept yet. Not at all. Have not had time to do that. So, Loch Ness Fox is on. Glad you made it tonight. But the Auburn Duesenberg Festival, huge deal. Big parades. They have dinners. They have celebrities. They have ice cream socials. They have luncheons. They have, I mean, it started yesterday and runs through like next Sunday. It's a pretty big deal. So there's a lot of cool things happening, and it's original Auburn Duesenbergs, the Glenn Prey cars that our good friend Doug Prey's dad built back in the 60s and 70s and up into the 80s. Those cars are part of that fold. And like I said, it's a big, huge festival with all kinds of activities. And there's also something else along with it, is they also have a big auction. Worldwide Auctioneers holds a big Labor Day auction at Auburn, Indiana, in conjunction with the Auburn Duesenberg Festival. Kevin's on with us. Glad you made it. And my good buddy Phil is actually there right now. He's been helping Worldwide get that sale put together. Looked at the docket for that a little bit last night, and some super, super cool things coming up on the Worldwide sale next week at Auburn, Indiana, that worth mentioning tonight, so we can kind of keep an eye on them. And then we'll probably talk about them next week again as well, because there is some neat stuff coming up at that sale, including kind of an interesting car. If you've been there, once again, if you've been hanging out with us on here before, you've seen us talking to our good friend Jim Wicks. We've done some videos with him. Definitely one of the foremost experts on Shelbys and Cobras in the world. And there's a very interesting car heading to the auction block next weekend at Worldwide. Obviously, most of us are all familiar with the Shelby Cobras. They're obviously a world-renowned car and a very well-known car. They also made 6 coupes. Most Shelbys were open cars, roadsters. That's just what they were kind of, almost all of them were. That's what most of us are familiar with. But they did make 6 Cobra Daytona Coupes for competition purposes, basically. So let's see. Loch Ness Fox, is that a super chat? I'm so unfamiliar with super chats. I've seen a little weird box pop up from Loch Ness Fox. Super appreciate that. I'm not real familiar with super chats. I've gotten a few of them before, but that's awesome. Thanks a lot. Let's see. Number one's got to get his pork chops off the grill, so you better go get those chops off, and then he's going to jump back on with us. But these Daytona Coupes, like I said, they made 6 of them. They were competition cars, very few of them. Chopper once said he actually worked on one of the 6 coupes. That's awesome. Super neat cars, very, very deep into the 7-figure cars. Dan says it's a great event, so apparently he's been there before. Well, they've got a Daytona Coupe next week, but it's not one of the 6. It's considered the 7th Daytona Coupe. So, and this is where things get a little gray on some of these cars. It looks like a Daytona Coupe, CSX 2469. I've just got a printed out picture of it. But it's kind of a neat story with this particular car. So we're going to catch it real quick and then get into a few of the other highlights of the auction. But this car was actually a period original Cobra Roadster to start with, bought by Carroll Shelby in 1992. Then he took it to a guy by the name of Mike McCluskey, who did replica Daytona bodies and had this actual Cobra transformed into a Daytona Coupe. So it's kind of a gray area. It's an original chassis. The car was commissioned by Carroll Shelby. Obviously had his rubber stamp on it, but it was built in the 90s as opposed to one built in the 60s. So, it's got a big block Ford, dual fours, Super T10 4-speed, all the stuff very similar to a original Daytona Coupe. It appeared at Laguna Seca with the 6 original cars after it was built, and then it was vintage raced, competitively vintage raced. So there's, and the article goes on to say, McCluskey would go on to handcraft a limited number of continuation models of the Daytona Coupe. However, this particular car stands out. Obviously, it was extremely well detailed, back to identical to the originals. It is the only one on an original 65 chassis that was overseen, owned. The build was overseen. It was owned and driven by Carroll Shelby. So it's going to be real interesting. Chopper One said he also worked on a 62 Ferrari GTO. I do like Ferraris. Even though I don't have a lot of Ferraris, I do like Ferraris. I used to own one. I'm a big Ferrari fan, so that's super cool. Loch Ness. Hey, that's great, Loch Ness. Whatever you guys want to throw out there on a super chat, I am super excited about, because if you're that happy with what we're doing that it's willing you to even just throw a couple bucks on a super chat, that's awesome to me, because we're just hanging out having fun. So any of you guys that support me like that with the super chat is awesome. So thank you very much for that, Loch Ness Fox. And to me, it's kind of a big deal, because it's like, wow, you guys really enjoy what we're doing here. So let's see. Scott says he's got a slight pause every 3 seconds. Jeff already caught that for me. So we do have a little bit of an feed issue on Facebook again tonight, apparently with a slight pause. So hopefully that's not too bad. Hopefully it clears itself up. It's giving me the same mirror messages it's been giving me for weeks. So far, it appears as though YouTube is working pretty well, though. Kevin rented a Ferrari in Vegas for 30 minutes, and it was $800. That's kind of crazy, but a lot of cool stuff at the worldwide sale next week. Like I said, I've been staying in touch with my buddy Phil. He is there working primarily with our memorabilia, but they've also got a huge collection of awesome Packards that my buddy Phil's been involved with. Tons of cool Packards. Some of this stuff, just look at the pictures on some of this stuff, some really great cars. So, but some of the other things that I did notice, of course, there are Auburns, there are Cords. I mean, it is at their festival. There's, always going to be some Auburns and Cords. And if you had Auburns and Cords for sale, why not run them at the sale at their big festival? So, my buddy Mike says Facebook is working good for him. That's great. Randy from California is on. Thanks, Loch Ness Fox said he couldn't help himself. That's great. Like I said, the super chats are awesome. I've only gotten a few ever since we've been on here, but it's so exciting to see one pop up. But they've got a DeSoto Airflow, which are super neat cars, definitely worth checking out. Chopper hit me with one too. That's cool. Thanks, guys. I super appreciate the super chats. That is so awesome. Glenn says he's getting a little bit of a jump on Facebook, but not bad. It's hanging in there. So thanks, guys. That's so awesome. But something else that they've got coming that is super cool, and these are awesome cars. And like I said, we'll talk some more about these after this stuff rolls across the block next week. Dual Ghia. They've got a dual Ghia going to the auction next weekend. If you guys don't know what a dual Ghia is, that's probably because they only made 117 of them. There's not a ton of them out there. They were a Dodge chassis with an Italian body. We've still got good connection on YouTube, so that's awesome. Glad that's still working. But Italian body Dodge drivetrain, and it has awesome Italian styling. Looks phenomenal. Super neat car. Something you never ever see because there's only 117 of them. The interesting thing about this exact car they're running is it was purchased brand new by Frank Sinatra. So tons of cool things there. You've got an American powertrain with phenomenal Italian styling, and really exciting to see this car go across the block. They don't change hands that often, so real curious to see what it says. Loch Ness says YouTube is still hanging in there and is good and smooth, so that's great. So like I said, we'll talk some more about that next week after we see what some of that stuff does on the block, because it is some neat stuff. Just like the Daytona Coupe, there's only 6. This isn't one of the original 6. It's the 7th car that's on an original chassis, and it was Carroll Shelby's car. So kind of interesting to see what that's going to do. The dual Ghia, the Packard collection, like I said, some super cool stuff. Check out Worldwide Auctioneer's website and see what they've got going on, because there's some awesome stuff that is going to be rolling across the block next week. And we got any specific questions, I'll see if I can get a hold of Phil and get any more details. But super excited to see some of that stuff. Chopper must have worked on a lot of high-end stuff. He's also has worked on a few original Cobras. So don't know for sure what kind of shop he was in, but that's some great stuff. Neat cars. I've seen a lot of those type of cars. I've seen multiple actual original Cobras. I've never really had my hands on one, but they're super neat cars. So anyway, that's what's been going on and what is coming up, and super excited to see what happens next weekend at the Worldwide Auction on some of these cars that just don't pop up very often. So who's ready for some magazine time? Let's see what we've got going on this week for a magazine. That's right, Kevin. Another good point. Meekum in Dallas is in 2 weeks. Something else to think about, too. We'll probably catch a few highlights from that. As of this point, I don't think we're going to make it. We originally talked about trying to catch that one, but nobody's in my group has said anything about it in the last couple of weeks, and I haven't had time to think about it either. So don't think we're going to catch that one. So Mo's call in Pennsylvania is here. Glad you made it. And let's see. Looks like everything is caught up for the time being. And tonight's magazine. Let's go back to 1962. The beginning of the muscle car wars is what we're going to get into tonight with the March 1962 issue of Car Life. Front cover, 1962 Pontiac Grand Prix. Obviously, we can see at the top, 413 Dodge, 409 Chevy, 406 Ford. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where things were going in the car world at this point when you read this magazine cover. Chopper 1 says, check out Redline Restoration in Connecticut. So that must be where he got a chance to work on all that cool stuff. Moscall was born in 63, so this is right along in your time frame. But a lot of neat stuff in this issue, including a pretty major error that we're going to get to. So I don't know if somebody lost their job in 1962 over this one. We're going to get to a pretty major error in this magazine, especially when we read the cover. When I show you the error and we think about the cover, it's going to make a lot more sense. Jim was in the 11th grade in 62, so we've kind of got to, which is great, which is awesome, because I love having such a diverse audience on here. It's such a diverse group of everybody hanging out, because we get so much more input and so many more different views on our hobby because of that. Let's go ahead and pop into this magazine and check out what was going on in March of 1962 with Car Life. Obviously, just like we saw on the front cover, when we get to page 8, there is a big, huge article on Detroit's cubic inch race, which obviously we pretty much picked that up from the front cover, that's probably where we were going with this thing. But a lot of good stuff in this section. No, not really any weird ads in this one, number one. And as a matter of fact, there weren't a lot of ads in it. That's what kind of surprised me. I don't know how they actually printed this magazine. There were so few ads in it. That or they were so good that they could really, really charge a lot for the ads they had in them. But No wild turkey. Remember, this is 62, not 1978. So there's no wild turkey in this one. But so, and here again, we got Chopper born in 77. We got Jerry born in 62. That's what's so awesome. The diversity allows us to look at our huge hobby from that many more different points of views. But as we get into the Detroit's Cubic Inch Wars article, this is what was really cool. Oh, wow. Chopper 1 got a second place at Pebble Beach on a 57 Bugatti. So, yeah, Chopper 1 has worked on some definitely cool stuff. But as we get into the Cubic Inch Race article, a lot of neat stuff in here. There's so much. There was no way to catch it all. But obviously, there's our W-headed Chevy. And we'll flip the page. Jose from Miami's here, a 58 International fan. Glad you made it tonight. My daughter's on right now. She's giving me a hard time. So, yeah, at least she's on watching, hanging out with us. And she likes cars too, so that's cool. As we flip the page, though, we got an awesome cutaway picture. We'll look at this one for a second. A great cutaway picture of a 3-deuce 406 Ford. That's an awesome drawing considering back in the day what they had to work with on that cutaway. Plus, the other neat part about this page, obviously, we've got the intake setup on the 3 deuces on the Ford. Plus, it's got all this detail down here at the bottom, which is probably kind of tough for you guys to see, but we'll glance at it real quick. Pontiac talks about the 389 and the 421, Chrysler and Dodge, the 413, the Chevrolet 409, the Ford 406. Gives a lot of details about them. Bore spacing, bore and stroke, amortized horsepower, valve size, timing, all kinds of very specific details that I guarantee you wouldn't see in a car magazine today. But there again, it mattered back then, so they squeezed a lot of that stuff in. I don't know how much that you guys can make out, but it's kind of some cool stuff that we normally wouldn't see anymore today. Then after we get done with the engines, this is what was kind of cool about this magazine this month is now we get into the cars. So after we get through the engine, the first one is the Pontiac. A great looking, and these are a great looking car, 1962 Grand Prix. We can kind of see the 8-lug wheels on this one. The 421 Grand Prix. And as we get into it, it gives a lot of details. Now, it shows some great pictures of the Grand Prix. One thing kind of interesting, it's a 4-barrel car, 4-barrel automatic. We can't see the iconic 8-lug wheels, a great picture of those. We've got the specifications down here on the car, equipped with the 421. And, standing quarter mile, 14.3 at 103. That was pretty good for that day on those tires for a big old car to run low 14s. Price as tested with the 421, $4,173. So pretty cool. Number one, anything VW in it? There wasn't really any I don't think there's any VW stuff in this issue either. But after we get past the Grand Prix, we go next to the 1962 Galaxy with the 406. Kind of the same deal. Cool pictures, good action shots on the 406 Galaxy. And once again, we'll flip the page and get into some of the specifics of that as well with some more detailed pictures. Great looking badge of the iconic Ford bird with the rally flags and the engine size on it. The 406 Galaxy ran there again. The 406 Galaxy ran a 1530 at 93 miles an hour, a full second slower than the 421 equipped Grand Prix. Price as tested, $34.97, which obviously included the 406 in that price. So after we get past the 406 Galaxy, next we get to the 62 Impala, the Chevrolet 409. So there again, it shows the 62 flipper hubcaps. Good looking car. still like the Grand Prix probably better, but the 62 Impala is a good looking car. We get into the details of the 62 Impala, and we've got the more pictures. We've got the chart over here, which gives us the breakdown, and it shows us quarter mile of 14.9 at 94 miles an hour. Price as tested, $37.95. The 62 Impala did have great lines. Here's the error, though. All throughout this whole magazine has been 406, 409, 413, 421. The title of the Impala article, Chevrolet 409. We flip the page to the next one. And what's wrong with this picture? If you guys can all see, that does not look like a W-headed motor to me. So, somebody screwed up. Whoever posted the picture obviously made an error. So, classic ride side. I don't have any 62s in the yard except for a really rough wagon. We do have a phenomenal 62 consigned for the F&E Collector Auto Auction. Beautiful car, red on red, Impala SS, two-door hardtop, 327, power glide, bucket seats, console. Gorgeous, gorgeous car. Be sure to go to the website and check that one out, feclassiccarauction.com. That's a beautiful 62 Impala we've got consigned. Don Don's not in here. He's been out running around. So I actually haven't even seen Don Don in a few days, so I don't know what he's out doing. Kevin's a fan of the 62 Galaxy rear end. So, and that's true. And that's one thing that's kind of different. Obviously, we're familiar with the 63.5 and 64 Galaxies with the fastback styling. You know, this being a 62 still had kind of the notchback roof line. We'll flip back a couple pages and take another quick look at that. So, big job. Anyone have an old 406 for a 61 Starliner or a 427 side oiler? I do not have anything like that, but if anybody does, big job is in on that. Speaking of which, when are you coming to get that truck, Big Job? Big Job called me on that 68 Ford. So here's the thing. That 68 Ford F800 that we listed, I showed a video on that red one. Who thinks Big Job needs that truck? His UID's Big Job Ford, and he's got some great trucks. He did send me some pictures of his trucks. Awesome trucks. He's got some gorgeous trucks. Who thinks Big Job needs another Big Job? So make a great one to his collection. Gasser says he can't beat the Pontiac. I've always been a fan of 62 Grand Prix. So they just had great lines. They really did. Big Job said he showed it to his brother. They're thinking about it. So, and that's a pretty good truck for the price. I mean, for as solid as that truck is, that custom aluminum flatbed, it's a neat truck. So, classic ride side is 64 Galaxy 4-door hardtops. I do not have any 64 Galaxy 4-door hardtops at all right now. I've got a set of doors off of a 63 that I stripped out years and years ago. That was a 4-door hardtop, but I do not have any 64 4-door hardtops on the lot right now. Number one says that body style Ford, most early 60 sedans looks like a hat, like a fedora or a Stetson, and there is some truth to that when you look at it from that standpoint. But the last car we're going to catch the road test on, obviously we've got the Pontiac, we've got the Ford, we've got the Impala, is the Chrysler 300H, and for some reason they used a convertible for this road test. So neat looking car you very seldom see, and this was a dual quad equipped car. Apparently, hopefully they've got the correct engine picture with this one. The 62 300H convertible, these were very classy cars. You can see the interior on it with the console. And this car actually was the slowest at a 16 flat. However, it is a convertible, so it had to have been a lot heavier as well. Plus, very expensive, but obviously it is a very prestigious convertible. Price as tested, $56.48, $5,648, $1,500 more than the Grand Prix, which was that much more than the others. So that was pretty cool to see how that all broke down. You know, they talked about the engines, then they talked about the cars, went through it, bit by bit. except for when I saw that Impala picture, I was like, man, somebody screwed up bad. Let's see. And that's something else I wondered about, Jim, was whether they did the road test with the 409 or the small block. So let's see here. What else did we have that I wanted to catch? Jump forward a couple of pictures or a couple pages here. Oh, here's something kind of cool. Forgot about this. I was working on this last night and I forgot about it. A few comments popping up. We'll get to those here in just a second. This was a really cool article on the Dodge Flight Wing. Probably never heard of a Dodge Flight Wing. I had never heard of a Dodge Flight Wing until I saw this article, and it was a prototype. Really neat car, 4 good pictures, just a 1-page deal, so not a ton of information on it. Virgil, says, probably the last example of Virgil Exner's forward look, $125,000 experimental car that was based on a lot of the jet age themes characteristic of Exner, who recently resigned as chief stylist for Chrysler. So neat car. Like I said, I had never even heard of it till then. Cool design. You can kind of see where it has the, pop-up roof panels. I don't know how well you guys can see these pictures, but definitely a unique car, definitely a prototype, obviously never made it into production, but it was something definitely kind of cool that, was different. So definitely thought we would check that out as well. But Big John says he wants to trade a 75 fire truck for it, but I don't think I got a use for a 75 International fire truck, but fire trucks are cool. I just don't know where to put one. Dan loves the Pontiac. What made me get into YouTube? We brought a guy in to help us with the F&E Collector Auto Auction. He encouraged me to do it, and he told me that I had the ability to do it. He convinced me I had the ability to do it. Whether I do or not, I don't know, but he's the one that convinced me to do it and give it a shot. So that's why I started doing it. Flip forward a couple more pages and comes up to another very interesting article. And that's true. Number one did bring up a very good point. That those swooping C-pillars and the spare looking circle in the trunk did make it to production on some cars. There is some truth to that too. That's another great point. But our next article we're going to catch is kind of an interesting one, also performance oriented. I actually had some color in this picture, which is very little color in this magazine. The Dodge Dart 413. Number one says the Flight Wing was the follow-up to the Fire Arrow. Okay, so that was another prototype as well. But the Dodge Dart 413, and this article kind of took me back too on a personal note. But pretty cool. Obviously, these were basically super stock race cars. Is kind of what they were designed as. Probably not the most attractive car that Dodge ever cranked out. There's some cool pictures with it, with all the specs, the engine picture, some neat stuff in there as well. But these cars here, I've always got kind of every time I hear about a 62 Dart, it takes me back when I worked for Chrysler. And I don't know how many of you guys know that I actually spent almost 5 years with Chrysler Corporation in warranty administration. I actually started with Chrysler Corporation, went through the Daimler Chrysler buyout. But when I worked for Chrysler, I worked with one of the guys that helped train me, Ray, and Ray turned into a good friend. He'd been around for a really, really long time. He actually at that point was retired and was working per diem in the same program that I was. But he was a car guy, and him and I bonded really well. And they did a lot of drag racing back in the 60s and 70s. And he told me the story about his 62 Dart that they used to drag race. And in this story, I'll never forget this. They bought the car. It was used. It was a few years old, but it was basically stock. They were getting ready to put it on the track. So the first thing they did was yank the stock cast iron exhaust manifolds off, which were basically a header, but they were still heavy cast iron. They were designed to flow like a header, but they were heavy cast iron. So He said, what are we going to do with these things? We don't need them. So they threw them out next to the trash can for the garbage man to take them. Factory, high output, so basically super stock Dodge exhaust manifolds. They said he wouldn't take them. He said he left them lay there for a week or two. They just laid there. Trash man wouldn't take them. So finally we got tired of tripping over them, so we smashed them up with a sledgehammer so we could throw them in the trash can in pieces, and he took them. But there again, that back then, who wanted exhaust manifolds? We're slapping headers on it. We're going racing. So every time I think you see something on a 62 Dart, it always reminds me of my friend Ray and the stories he used to tell me back when we were working together in warranty administration for Chrysler. So there again, kind of a personal little tidbit I like that always kind of works into some of these stories. And but that again, that's why we're here. It's the stories, it's the memories, it's all that stuff that ties it back together. Kevin likes the car on Facebook. We got a couple comments on YouTube. Let me get caught up with these. Restoration, people want Googling and finding videos, and that's true. And that's similar to what I do by showing people what we drag in. I do it because it's fun, but it also shows everybody what's coming in. So it can be used that way as well. Chopper One's bailing off. Glad you made it for a while tonight. Always enjoy having you here. Jim says that was the car to have in 62. Number one says that was a mid-sized Dart, not a small Dart. Correct. Yeah, that was 62 was still a bigger car. I mean, I don't think it wasn't like a 300, but it wasn't like a small compact like they became. That's right. And that's what Glass Ride side of YouTube is good to promote business. Kevin, the front end design was very unique on those cars to the point where my buddy Ray actually, him and his brother, then we'll take a quick look at that front end again right there. They referred to it. It was fast. It was a good race car, but they referred to it as the 62 Ugly. So that's kind of now, and there you can kind of see the rear body lines on it. Probably not the most attractive car ever built, but a very neat car, especially one with a 413 in it. I'm not sure, Chopper One. That's a good question. How many swings of the sledgehammer to take to get the center of the Tootsie Pop, or in this case, the center of the exhaust manifolds, or what they really were, factory cast iron super stock headers. So one more car that we're going to look at, which is kind of almost, well, a couple more things we'll look at here real quick. Just like when we look at Motor Trend, they've got Detroit news. In Car Life, they had Motor City Memos. It's kind of hard to see right there. You can make it out where they actually had it called Motor City Memos. A couple of interesting things that we're going to throw out here on this one. Vic's on with us, but he's got to bail off. That's all right, Vic. Hopefully you can make it next week. Hot Pontiacs, big news out of Pontiacs after several years of resisting the inevitable. The Pontiac people, under new president Pete Estes, are going to be offering the hottest special equipment on new cars off the assembly line. As you know, Pontiac has always reserved the hottest stuff for over-the-counter sale for dealer installation. But it says that there are going to be two distinct packages available, one for the drag strip and one for the road. Both combinations will share certain common parts like the big valve heads with high lift rockers, number 10 McKellar cam with solid lifters, forged pistons, heavy-duty oil pump, bearings, pulse flow, exhaust headers with 4 outlets, light flywheel and heavy-duty clutch, 4-speed transmission with close ratios, limited slip. Differences are that the drag strip package will use the 421 short block dual 4-barrel carbs on an unheated aluminum manifold. The street road package will use the 389 large single 4-barrel on a heated manifold, vacuum spark advance. So basically just some drivability induction issues were the differences, but kind of a neat little blurbs of what they think's coming out of Detroit. The other interesting piece of Motor City Memo I noticed in here is the Olds turbo. Obviously that's when turbos, they were using them on diesels. They'd used them on airplanes in World War II. But as far as seeing them on cars, this was where it was just starting. Introduction of the Olds turbo supercharger for the F-85 has been held up twice by supplier delays. It's a radical new thing, and Olds wants to be sure before bringing it out, but it's worth the wait. So there again, turbo introduction on the F-85 was in the works at that point, but not quite there yet. But like I said, there's so much cool stuff in these magazines. We could spend hours on them, but Let's see. Number one, that Pontiac change of heart must have been right after DeLorean started street racing on Woodward. That's a good point. Yeah, it's and obviously it didn't last very long because in '63, GM put out a corporate edict that there will be no more factory involved racing. So, but you're 100% right. Number one, I bet that finally came out after, they were doing it anyway. So it was just a matter of putting them on at the factory and letting people order them and making money doing it. We'll catch one more article. Supplier delays mean industrial sabotage. I doubt it would on that because, those turbos were just kind of a new thing most people were trying to kind of figure out at the time. So one more car article we're going to catch real quick because we're going to kind of go flip-flop completely back the other way on an almost 100% performance issue. And we're going to bounce down to America's favorite compact returns for its third season, the Ford Falcon. So once again, these are neat little cars, popular little cars. A lot of people really like them. You could get them in a convertible, you get them in a hardtop, you get them in station wagons. This one's a basic sedan, nothing too exciting, but still, this is original stuff from when these cars were new. Everything we look at, these pictures, any details, anything we look at was from when these cars were brand new. And there again, we're looking back with 2020 hindsight, seeing what happened. And we did get a road test with the 101 horsepower Ford Falcon with the inline six, and it flew through the quarter mile at a stellar 20.6 seconds at 64.5 miles an hour. However, the price as tested, $2,428, base price of $2,047. Compare that to the 300H convertible at $5,600. You could buy almost 3 base Falcons for what that 300H costs. So you got to kind of take all that into consideration as well. Kevin, I don't think we've got any oil can ads tonight, but we're going to get into them right now. That was the last article we were going to look at. The Falcons were Ford's answer to the Chevy 2. The Chevy 2 didn't come out till 62. The Falcon came out in 60. So I think they were more designed to compete with the Corvette more so than the Chevy 2. I think the Chevy 2 probably may have come out to help, find more of the Falcon. Kevin says they made them in South America. So apparently, I'm sure for sure Ford did have production down there back then. But we're going to get into some ads. Plus, we've got classifieds in this month. Car Life did use classifieds. So, Jim, didn't they make a Falcon pickup? Yes, they did make a Falcon Ranchero back in those days as well. So they were a very diverse platform. And you're 100% right. The Ranchero, the station wagon, the convertible, the two-door, the four-door, they did a little bit of everything with the Falcon. But the first ad we're going to check out, back to the Oldsmobile F85, inside the front cover, nice ad showing off the V8 with a F85 Coupe and an F85 convertible, both right there in that ad. And like I said, not very many ads in tonight's magazine. I'm not sure how Car Life printed this thing because they didn't sell a lot of ads. That or it had so much circulation they could price them at whatever they wanted. But speaking of Chevy 2, we're going to flip forward a couple of more pages to the new Chevy 2. The more savvy you have about cars, the more you'll appreciate how we built this one. A nice shot of a two-door hardtop as well as a nice cutaway view as well, which there again, these cutaways back in the day, for what it took to put these together, they didn't do these on a computer. They had to draw these. So neat piece. Number one was the Falcon, Henry II's last car. That I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if that was the last car he was heavily involved in the development of or not. Edsels, rather not Henry's. I'm not sure. My buddy Phil could answer all that. That era of Ford, my buddy Phil is the guru. He is one of the world-renowned experts on Edsels, and that late 50s, early 60s Ford era, he knows it cold. So we can get a list of that stuff, and I can check with Phil, and I'm sure he can answer it for us. Well, now we've actually got to flip towards the back of the magazine to find a few more ads. And we're going to get to a section, and this is kind of both. This is kind of half article, half ad. So I put it with the ads of window shopping, new products that are available. Chevy 2 might have been a match for the Ford Fairlane. And that's true as well because the Fairlane think, yeah, the Fairlane went small in 62 as well. So I think you're 100% right, Jim. I think the Chevy 2 and the Fairlane were more of a direct competitor. Jeff, didn't the Maverick take the place of the Falcon? Kind of. The Falcon actually eventually in 70 and a half went to more of the Fairlane Torino platform in 70 and a half. So then the Maverick, and in 70, the Maverick did come out in 70. So I would say that you are correct in that assumption because they made the small Falcon up till the beginning of 70. Maverick took over in 70, and the Falcon went to the little bit larger mid-size platform. So Nomo says, let's call one of the classifieds. Yeah. But this article, kind of half ad, half article, is window shopping. Tons of cool new products that were coming out. And, there's a factory camper, show some manifold stuff, show some toys, show some accessories, show some wheels. So kind of some different things. I'll keep it up there for a few seconds so you guys can check them out. And like I said, it's kind of half article, half ad. So, but they're, again, kind of a new product type thing with some neat stuff in it. Big job. Just gave away a 65 Falcon Sprint rust-free to a kid just to make room at the shop. Yeah, if he knew then what he knew now, that's for sure. But the last ad we're going to catch before we get into the classifieds is something a little off the beaten path for this magazine. Really kind of shocked me. The entire back cover, and they're, again, one of the most beautiful cars ever built, but the entire back cover is an XKE, and it's even in color. So I thought that was kind of different to have a nice, really big, nice Jaguar ad, and take the whole back cover on it. So number one, what was the Sprint part? Sprint was kind of a sportier one. I don't know what all the specific details were of the Sprint, but I know it was kind of a sportier one, a little more trim, things like that. So, but a beautiful picture of an XK Jag on the back, and a nice ad there as well. Old school, best Jag ever made, and you will get very little argument about that. Personally, I do love the XK120. I think the XK120 gives the XKE a run for its money. But I do really like the XK120, but the XKE is a beautiful car. But classified ads, let's get into some classified ads, and we'll catch a few of these. These are pretty cool. Some of the stuff is just, they're, again, crazy. We're looking at 1962 numbers. Like number one says, best Jag ever made unless it rains, and that's a very good point too as well. But let's check out a few Corvettes that are listed here. 54 Corvette, probably the most beautiful stock appearing Corvette in the United States. Fanatically kept, better than new, always garaged and mechanically maintained. 31,000 miles, $2,300. 57 Chevy Bel Air two-door hardtop, V8 stick, radio, seat belts, white walls, other extras, extra clean, $1,400. 56 Corvette, Wonderbar, transistor radio, hardtop and soft top, 5 Michelins. And you say, why are they advertising 5 Michelins? Back in that era, back in the early 60s especially, Michelins were the top dog tire out there. So 5 Michelins on that one, shortened steering wheel, new carpet, $1,785 or best offer for a 56 Corvette. There were a few exotics, in this article, or in these classifieds as well, which really stood out. 1948 Delahaye 135M French Classic, coached by Chaperon. A lot of this stuff I don't even understand. 6-port head, 3 carbs, Codal gearbox. Some of that's probably French manufacturers. Superb condition, everything original. Concours ready, 2 owners, 23,000 miles, spare engine, gearbox, workshop manual. $3,150 for a 48 Delahaye. Now, I made me curious. I don't know a lot about Delahayes, so I just Googled it, looked for some results, and there was one that recently sold for $695,000. So, Big Job says he's got to get a hold of Doc, get him a DeLorean, get him a flux capacitor, and go back in time. And it actually gets even more interesting. 1958 Ferrari 250 GT Coupe. Low mileage, late type chassis with power brakes. A steal at $4,950, $4,950 for a 58 Ferrari 250 GT Coupe. What's the exchange of the inflation on a $62 number one? I didn't look that up. I just kind of just ballparked what some of the cars brought. But the 58 there again, there was a 58 Ferrari 250 GT Coupe sold last year for $671,000. So I don't know what the numbers equate to, but still kind of pretty good appreciation on a lot of those. But there again, just some really neat stuff to look back in time and think about some of this stuff as far as what was going on. And actually, we found a Volkswagen. Somebody asked if there's any VWs. There is a Volkswagen in the classifieds. 1956 Volkswagen sunroof sedan, good mechanical condition, body okay, but could use paint. $600. And there again, you think about what those early Volkswagens are worth today versus what they were worth then. Old school. Used Ferraris used to be cheap in the 70s and early 80s, and the market took off. So, yeah, that's kind of crazy. So that's what we've got for classifieds. That's what we've got for articles. And that's what we've got for ads in the March 1962 issue of Car Life magazine. Still curious if somebody got fired over that 62 Impala picture, but there again, that's for us to wonder and ponder in today's world. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Always like doing those, always neat stuff in them. Let's get to trivia. Let's get to the raffle. Let's get to some videos that are coming up and get ready to wrap up. We're already over an hour. I don't want to keep you guys on here all night. I'm amazed that you guys are still hanging out on here with me anyway. So, yeah, number one says he wants the phone numbers. Yep. I doubt anybody's going to know what you're talking about if you called any of those. Let's see. Who's ready for tonight's trivia? Tonight's trivia winner is going to get a Pennzoil can. This is also a cardboard can, but it is the iconic yellow Pennzoil can. It's got some cool arrows on it. Z-7. Same logo on both sides. Pretty nice condition. A little bit of wear to the can. Does still have good printing on the top of it. And a pretty decent can. Like I said, I'm starting to see more and more people paying attention to these cardboard cans. And they're great pieces to your collection. They're not going to last. They will literally collapse from age if they're not taken care of, as opposed to the metal ones where the paint may fade or chip, but if they were just sitting on a shelf, they're just going to sit there. So that's right. Old School says he can't play. Yep, Old School's out tonight, and I do appreciate you guys playing along with me on that. And I'm just asking everybody, if you win 1 week, sit 1 week out to give everybody else a chance. Thanks to that Old School. Appreciate you playing along. And next week you're back in, of course. And, we're just trying to give everybody a fair shot and kind of mix it up a little bit. But the other night I did a video on a bunch of truck cabs and truck beds in the yard. Just kind of a sampling video. I've got right at 100 cabs right now that are off, probably a little over 100 cabs that are already off lined up on pallets. We looked at a whole row of Chevys. One of those Chevys had a bunch of super cool writing on one of the doors. I was going to go with the name, but the names were so long and drawn out that I decided not to. But what kind of business was it? It's a 2-word business. What type of business was it that truck cab was originally involved with? So, nope, number one is still not the Notre Dame football coach. So, I'll keep an eye out on both formats, both on YouTube and Facebook, for tonight's winner. As we start talking about the raffle, let's see. Oh, the sign, 58 IH cabs. Yeah, we didn't catch any 58 IH cabs in that video yet, so we're getting close. We got some guesses coming in, but we're getting close. But I don't have a right answer as of yet. But the sign behind me, it is plastic. It is Chevrolet, America's First Choice by a margin of millions. Let's see. Trying to keep an eye on answers as they're popping up. I want to make sure I catch the first one. But that is plastic. I think it is 70s era based on the red, white, and blue Chevy logo. I'm guessing it's probably right around 75, 76. 74, 5, and 6 is pretty much when they use that red, white, and blue Chevy logo right in that window, obviously getting ready for the bicentennial year of 1976. But I do remember seeing some of that stuff back to 74 with the Free Spirit Edition cars and things like that. So sometime mid-70s, I thought it was a cool piece. Obviously, I like a lot of that 70s era stuff. And so I thought it was a great piece. A lot of people don't like it because it is plastic. Maybe it's, there we go. Jason's our winner. He was a general contractor. That's what we were looking for. We had engineers, but they weren't engineers. It was they were contractors. So Jason's our winner tonight. I don't remember. I may still have your address on one of the other notes because you have one before. I'd have to go back through it and double check and see. So appreciate that. Old School said he knew it. He just was out tonight. But you're back in next time, and Jason will be out next week. That's right, number one, baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. That was a big part of their promotion back in the 60s and 70s. But thanks for playing, everybody. Appreciate it. And let's get into the raffle. This is the last week for the raffle for the Hupmobile grill shell. Once again, here it is. For one more time, before we give this thing away, which will be next week, cool piece. Like I said, we've looked at it a couple times before. Still got the water neck up top, which is just empty. There's nothing there. Just a tiny bit of slight damage at the bottom. It does still have the original brace in it. It has a bit of depth to it. Like I said, great piece for a rat rod. Or I've seen people literally put a mirror in them, hang them in their bathroom. You've got some depth to it as well, where I've seen people put shelves in them for oil cans, Hot Wheels, things like that. So great piece. Number one, the Chevy sign does not light up. It is just strictly a plastic sign. So next week, somebody's going to win this. This rod is just a piece that was cut off. It is still bolted to the grill shell. I just left it on there in case anybody would ever need it. But next week, we're giving this thing away. Great piece. If you can see the badge, it's got a couple of chips in it. But overall, still looks good. Good blue and white coloring. And somebody's going to win this next week. Now, who's in at this point? In the big Buick oil can currently, right now, these names that are already in there belong to Bill Wagaman is in. Alfred Dulude, D-U-L-U-D-E is in. Lee Carr is in. James Erickson is in. And Jason Withrow is in. If you have paid me and I have do not read your name off, be sure to get a hold of me if you have tickets for the raffle. Jason says he definitely needs it. So, well, you're in. We've got you in. If I remember correctly, you really went in. Actually, I think a good chunk of that can is actually you right now. So if you are not in yet, get your raffle tickets bought. The information is in the text, both on Facebook and YouTube. $1 a chance for every $1 you send me. Your name goes in the big Buick oil can that many times. $5 you go in 5 times, $10 you go in 10 times, etc., etc. The PayPal information is on the post, as well as my mailing address. If you do want to mail a check or money order to get in, if you get it in the mail tomorrow, I will probably still have it by the end of the week. So, big job. I never figured out how to get his entry or how to go about it. You can go to PayPal, put in my in my email address I use on PayPal, which is posted in the text, and just put send money and put however much you want in there, and make sure your name is on there, and just put, for the August raffle or something like that. So I know what it's for when it comes through, or throw a check or money order in the mail tomorrow. My mailing address is on the information. If you do throw a check or money order in the mail and I do not get it until after the drawing, it will go into the following month's drawing. But if you get it in the mail tomorrow, still have a chance of it getting here by Friday. Okay. I missed some on Facebook, but Jeff was asking the same questions. So yeah, perfect. That's great. You guys can get in. Well, that works out all right. Jason says his wife buys his tickets for him, so that's not a bad gig. That's right, Kevin. The second place raffle, we'll pull 2 names. We'll pull the name for the Hupmobile grill shell. Then we will pull another name, and the second name is, I hope they're a truck guy. You're going to get your choice. I've got half ton. I've got 1.5 ton. I think I've got these in 2.5 ton as well. Old School's got a bail. Thanks for being here tonight, Old School. So the winner's going to get their choice: half ton, 1.5 ton, 2.5 ton. Second name we pull is going to get one of these small license. These are small. You can see the size of my hand. These went on top of the regular license plates to denote the weight rating of your truck back in the day. These are late 40s, early 50s era pieces. These are new old stock. These have never been used. So the second name we pull is going to get one of these of their choice on weight ratings. So that will be next week, as well as announcing the next Raffle for September. That's right, Jason. They are cherry because they are new old stock. They've never been bolted on a license plate or a truck. So they are great pieces. Are still giving away the worst car in the yard in the most complete and best shape at 10,000 subs. Haven't looked into that yet, but not like I said, there's so many stipulations to giving away a vehicle that I do need to have that conversation with my buddy Chad at Bank Shift and some other stuff. And actually, I talked to Hot Rod Magazine a little bit about this giveaway as well to see if we can get something going on it. But yeah, I would love to do something like that. There's just a lot of logistics to making a vehicle giveaway happen. But we can sure do so. We ought to do something at 10,000 subs. Let me think about that because that's a great idea, number one. I'll kind of roll that around in my head, and we'll see if we can figure something out. Let's see. Yes, Jason, I do still have shirts, black and gray, large, XXX, XXX. I think I'm out of mediums. I think is the only thing I'm out of. But yeah, I've still got everything else, whatever you need. Yeah. Number one says, talk about giving away paper for a second. That's true. We haven't given any paper away. I thought those weight rating tags were neat. I thought that'd be a cool one, but maybe we can do some paper next time. So, and like I said, on the Hutmobile grill shell, anybody that's out of the country, I don't want to tell you can't play, but I don't have a good way to ship something that big. So if you've got ideas on shipping and you want to play, that's great. Just work with me on getting it to you. So, let's see. Ellen, North Carolina, truck stuff. Has the 60 Chevy truck yet arrived? If it was the one in the video from Friday night, no, I have not dug that truck out yet. If that's the one we're talking about. I've got other 60 era Chevy pickups depending on which bed you need. But that 60 that was in the video Friday night, if that's the one we're talking about, I have not picked up yet. That's right, number one. Are you giving away an engine that is attached to a car? Yeah. So anyway, but I will look into that. Something interesting to do at 10,000 subs. What's been going on? I didn't haul any cars this week. Have not had time. I've got to start picking some stuff up this week. There's just no question about it. I have got to start hauling cars. Okay, it is an 8-foot bed. Yeah, if that's the one we're talking about, yeah, I haven't picked that truck up yet. We did list some more cool cars for the auction this week. Be sure to check it out, fecarauction.com, to keep up with the docket. 69 Skylark Convertible, nice driver car, red, white top, white interior, 350 automatic. Not the nicest car out there, but a pretty decent old car. Great driver if somebody wants something to put the top down with and go have fun with. And it's no reserve, so that always makes it more interesting. You don't find a lot of A-body convertibles anymore at no reserve. So be sure to check that one out. 2 more going up in the morning. I just sent the pictures over late last night. 1969 Corvette, highly modified 1969 Corvette, kind of a half drag car, half street car, custom paint. So that it's kind of a different car, and a really, really slick 1970 GTO, Verdaro green, on green. Nice car, 400 automatic, straight, nice paint, sharp car. So the Corvette, the GTO should be going up tomorrow. Big job. Do you ever think about doing consignments? As far as for me doing consignments, no, because we run a lot of that stuff through the auction as far as consignments. I have helped a few people sell some cars before. If you technically do consignments in Kansas, there's some other stipulations along with my dealer's license to technically do a consignment vehicle, because you've got to have like a broker license or something as part of my dealer's license. So typically I don't get into that because it doesn't come up enough to justify it. I've had a few people that I've helped them write an ad for their car or something and help put it out there and then let them sell it. But for the most part, doing a consignment deal on my own, for one thing, there's a lot of extra paperwork, and two, I got so much of my own stuff to deal with. It's tough to keep up with sometimes. So next week I'll have some new inventory because I've got to get some of this stuff picked up. Gosh, I've got to get some of this stuff picked up. And we've got some more stuff that'll be popping up on the F&E Collector Auto Auction as well. Be sure to keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that stuff. Check it out. It's on YouTube. We're on YouTube with F&E Collector Auto Auction. We're on Facebook with F&E Collector Auto Auction, and the website is feclassiccarauction.com. Lots of cool videos coming up. I've got a great video that is not I have not published yet for the auction. If you've seen the auction on, if you've seen anything or looked at the docket, we've got a one-owner 1937 Ford pickup. It's a project, but it is an original family-owned. The lady that is selling it, her dad bought the truck brand new in 1937. The truck has never been available for sale. It is a half-ton short bed pickup. And we've got a great video on that where she actually shares her stories about the pickup and about her folks and about growing up with this pickup. And now that it's time to let it go, she took some time and did a video with us, and I'm getting that one ready to post as well. So definitely excited about that. That's a neat video that's going to be coming up. What do I have coming out this week on videos? That's right, William. Be safe out there and think of the people in Louisiana with a hurricane. That's true. That's something else a lot of people are dealing with. We'll pop up another Pioneer Auto Show video tomorrow night. And I think we'll do some AMCs. Got a really cool pair of AMCs there that you don't typically see sitting beside each other. So we'll probably throw up that AMC video. If you like AMCs or like different stuff, you'll definitely want to catch that one. I've got to do some new inventory videos. I've got to get some of this stuff drug in. I've got some stuff sitting here I need to shoot. In fact, something else, actually, I picked this truck up a while back, but I just got the title on it Friday. So I guess technically it is new inventory that I need to do a video on. And although it doesn't sound that old, it is getting to be old. Also a one-owner truck out of an estate, 1989 Dodge Ram Charger, two-wheel drive, completely original. Paint's pretty faded on it, but this thing is super solid. A little bit of rust in each quarter, and that's it. Floors are mint. It runs and drives. Just a super clean. Like I said, it looks a little rough because the paint's pretty bad on it. But, man, it's a super clean Ram Charger. I need to do a video on that. So that is technically new inventory. I've had it here for a while. I just kind of forgot about it because I just finally got the paperwork done on it last week. So there will be a video coming out on that Ram Charger plus some of this other stuff I need to get picked up. And let's see, number one, explore how to get cars to Canada when the border opens. Big need for solid projects. I bet there's a big need for solid projects up in Canada. And I don't know what all the legalities are getting them through the border, but that's I know that's pretty tricky. But we'll get that popped up. A couple other things I've got hanging. I don't know if you guys remember the Tucker banner that I've got in my collection, the original Silk Tucker showroom banner. We did it on Toy Tuesday here several months back. But I bought that at Pioneer Auto Show last time we were there a couple of years ago. And I don't know why I didn't think about this. I completely spaced it off. But however, we actually had, when we were there last time, Dave sat down with us, Dave Geisler that owns Pioneer Auto Show, sat down with us and told the story of that banner. That Tucker banner was actually his dad's that he got when he signed up to be a Tucker dealer. So Dave walks us through this whole process about growing up in the Chevrolet John Deere dealer and talks about his dad getting excited about Tucker. So that's a cool video I need to throw up there as well. So that's a neat one that I need to get up. It's a couple more comments. Gasser 61, Sydney 61 Pontiacs to New Zealand. I've only got one 61 Catalina, and it's an okay parts car. My dad actually has a restored 61 Bonneville convertible. So a lot of the good 61 stuff he's got kind of sat back for him in case he ever needed it. So my dad's a big 61 Pontiac fan too. CB just found the channel from the web description. Glad you made it. Glad you found us. We do this every Sunday night starting at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Be sure to join us. Jason needs a Ram Charger. Well, I've got a Ram Charger here, and this thing is solid, complete, runs and drives. It's the other thing, cool thing about the Ram Charger. There again, it's a basic regular two-wheel drive, V8 automatic, nothing fancy. This thing, not only is it on the original title at this point, which I'm going to have to turn into the state, but it is on the original title. Shows 641 miles on it when the previous owner bought it, from which is the estate that I got it from. This thing still has all 4 of the full disc hubcaps on it. When's the last time you saw a Ram Charger with all 4 original hubcaps on it? I don't know. I think I've ever seen one. I don't think they had them on there the day after they sold them new. So super cool to find one like that. So we'll definitely be getting some content on that as well. Any front-wheel drive GMX bodies? I think that's what we talked about last week. Number one, if I remember correctly, and that was the citations and stuff, and I didn't have any of that stuff. Plus, we need to do the live. Since we couldn't do the live today, I don't know what you guys think. Do we want to try to do it on Labor Day weekend? Do we want to wait a couple weeks? I told you guys I was going to be coming back for your opinion on that, see what you thought. But there was no way we could have done it this morning. It rained until around lunch or shortly thereafter. So, CB looking for 40s to 60s Dodge truck. I mean, I've got a lot of Dodge trucks. If you want to give me a shout tomorrow, we can go over some of the details of exactly what you're looking for, CB, and see if we can narrow it down a little as to exactly what you need or what you're looking for. But anyway, that's kind of about what I've got for tonight. Appreciate you guys swinging by. I'll keep my eyes peeled on both formats for the next minute or two as we get wrapped up here and keep an eye on things. That's right. Kevin says I do have plenty on my plate. There is absolutely no doubt that I'm not running short of anything to do. But so we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap this thing up tonight. I got to get some more work done. Let me know what you guys think. Do we want to try to do the live next weekend, or do we want to wait? Big Job says enjoyed the show. Glad you guys are here. And like I said, that's, I'm not what makes this. You guys coming on here and hanging out, that's what makes it. I'm just the one that gets to sit here and hang out with y'all. Thanks, CB. CB's brand new, and he really likes what we've got going on. So come back and join us 7 o'clock every Sunday night here. And Toy Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday night, will be live memorabilia, toys, signs, oil cans, things like that, CB. So catch us on Tuesday night as well. See, number 1, Kansas Sunday Sunrise Yard Walk. Gasser 61, thanks for being here from New Zealand. Glad you made it tonight. Thanks, Jason. Hit the like, guys. That's what Jason's telling us to do. That's awesome. Rob says he has bad internet. I mean, late 30s, early 40s truck cabs. Depends on which one you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about a lot of different cabs there, Rob, depending on what you need and what you're looking for. I've got some of them, depending on what it is. 35, 36 is one cab, 37 is another cab, 38, 39 is a cab, 40 to 47 is a cab. COEs, you've got 38 to 40 and then 40 to 47. Although those cabs are very similar, they have different dashes. So, 38 to 40, then 41 to 47 on the COE. So there's a lot of differences in those late 30s, early 40s cabs. So if you want to give me a call on that, Rob, tomorrow we can sure talk about that and see if there's anything I need there or anything I've got there. Thanks to you guys. I mean, a lot of you guys are thanking me, and I do appreciate the support. I don't get to all the comments. There's no way. There's just too much stuff going on. Just like best time to call me, basically 8 to 8 Central Time. If you call me between 8 and 8 Central Time and I don't answer, it's because I'm on the phone with somebody else. Just leave me a quick message, and I'll get back with you after I get off with whoever I'm on the phone with. So, but your guys, I don't get to all the comments. It's impossible. I think I'm admin on about 10 different Facebook pages. I've got multiple YouTube channels that I control, but 4 or 5 of those channels are fairly active. So between 8 to 10 active Facebook pages, 4 to 6 active YouTube channels, there's absolutely no way to catch all the comments. It's almost impossible. When we're on here live, I do catch a lot of them. I even miss a few while we're on here live, but your guys' support is amazing. Your guys are what makes this happen. Let's see what else we got popping up. That's right. Big Job says, one more time, pray for our servicemen, especially with what we've had tonight. We've had some special moments because of our military tonight, and we can never thank them enough. So anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. Super appreciate you guys being here. Super appreciate the support. Yes, I do still have plenty of T-shirts left. The guys that threw up the super chats tonight, that's awesome. There again, I'm amazed that you guys are willing to do that. It's great. I super appreciate it. And I do put some time into this deal. We've been on here for an hour and a half tonight. I spent about an hour and a half building this last night to try to put a good episode together for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. Why aren't the other channels in your channel list? There's only about, like I said, 4 or 5 of them that are active. But there's my personal channel, which I've only got a few things on under Chad Ehrlich, if you guys want to check that out, which is non-car related stuff that I think is pretty cool. We got a dinosaur fossil museum on there. An old school hotel we stopped at, I've got that on there. The F&E Collector Auto Auction channel is active. I do work with that one. I need to see if I can tie some of that together. The SRCA Drag Strip channel is one that I basically run that whole channel. Everything on that channel I've posted. So those are my 3 primary. I've got some other ones that, I do a little bit of work with, but those are my primary ones. And it's all kinds of stuff. I've got a county commissioner here that I help her with her YouTube and her Facebook. Obviously, the Auburn Court Duesenberg Company, I help them a lot with theirs, plus multiple others. So many formats that I help out with. Our Great Bend Economic Development contacted me Friday about helping with some videos, helping them do some videos on a project they're working on. So, like I said, a lot of digital media that I'm involved with. So, a lot of people say, well, didn't you get the notification? Yeah, I get pages and pages of notifications every day. So no way to keep up with it. But the fact that you guys are here, I do catch your comments when we're on here, and it's awesome that you guys are here and support what we do. So thanks for everything. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being here. And we're going to go ahead and bail off. We'll see you Toy Tuesday live at 7 o'clock. We'll check out 1 or 2 more cool signs. A couple more cans we brought back from South Dakota, and I've still got a couple of cool toys laying around I haven't showed you. So we'll have a little bit of a mix for the next couple of weeks on a little bit of some cans, some signs, some toys. We'll kind of mix it up a little bit over the next few weeks. So number 1 says Navy Nick needs YouTube for the Kentucky Camaro. Maybe we can talk him into that. So super excited to be part of that story. That's why I wanted to share it. Thanks, Blake, for the kind comments. Great show. So share the other channels with us. Like I said, F&E Collector Auto Auction is one, and then the SRCA Drag Strip. Those are the 2 that I'm mostly involved with as far as posting. SRCA Drag Strip, which is our local drag strip, and then the F&E Collector Auto Auction. We're doing a lot with that too. So anyway, thanks, guys. Keep an eye out here for just a few more seconds. It's been a minute or so on Facebook if we've gotten anything, so we'll see. Looks like we're about done here. We're getting ready to bail off. Just in case you guys are curious, here's what I do every Saturday night from about 9 to about 11. This is what I do. This is how I build this. I go through, I make notes. I try to be prepared. I hope you guys like it, but that's what I do to try to build a good episode for all of us to enjoy. So nothing else popping up. I'm going to bail off. If you've thrown something up there and I haven't addressed it, it's because it hasn't fed me yet. That always happens. As soon as I sign off, a few more things pop up. I apologize if I missed you or if I missed you throughout the chat. But anyway, thanks for being here. I'm going to get to work. Super appreciate. When do I find time to eat? 9 times out of 10, it's right here where I'm sitting. I will usually run home for dinner, but lunch is right here at my desk. I'll grab a sandwich or I'll grab some lunch meat out of the fridge, slap it on a couple pieces of bread, or pop open a can of soup, throw it in the microwave, and lunch is right here. And then back to it. Grab lunch, check what I got going on the computer, check eBay, check YouTube numbers, things like that while I'm sitting here eating a sandwich, and then right back out to the shop. So that's where I find time to eat. I do it right here while I'm checking stuff on the computer before I get back to work. So thanks, guys. Appreciate all the kind comments. We will see you Tuesday night at 7 o'clock for Toy Tuesday. We're going to throw up some more cool videos this week. As always, got any specific questions about vehicles or parts, 620-786-4428. That number is in the text. on both YouTube and Facebook. Tell your friends about us and join them. Invite them to come over and hang out with us. Have a lot of fun with you. Thanks for being here, and we will see you Tuesday night and definitely see you back here 7 o'clock Sunday night for Sunday Night Live Chat. Thanks for watching, everybody.